Hi, welcome back to the garden. Today is Sunday, September 5th, Labor Day. I hope you brought your seeds. We're going to plant. The goal today is to get most of the September seeds in, but you look around, there's no room. But within 60 days, most of this stuff is going to be harvested. There's going to be plenty of room. We'll set up cold frames then. But for right now, we're going to have to make a space or two. So come on, let's see what we got. Right here we planted pretty early. Things are winding down. We had corn with some beets in. There's a few left. Blister beetles kind of chewed on them, but we're going to let those grow just a little bit more. The purple beans, they're done. The yellow wax beans are still putting on beans, so we're going to keep those in for a little bit. It took the cowpeas a little while to get going. We ought to get a pretty decent harvest off of these for a while. Right in here we planted some melons. And we've harvested quite a few of them. This is the last one. I'm going to take this one out this morning, then we're going to clear this trellis. We're going to use our peas, and then we're going to do some planting right in this area. This is one of the smaller Crenshaws that we've harvested, but they are very juicy and very flavorful. I also hung the amaranth on here to dry. It's not quite dry enough to roll in your hands, but I don't want to lose any of the seeds. So put that in the harvest container. Let me go ahead and cut the rest of this vine out of here, and then we'll go ahead and plant. And I'm just going to cut and drop, add it to the mulch. Now I'm not going to pull the roots out of the ground. The whole point is to keep that life in the soil going. One of the things to take into consideration when you're clearing a spot is what's growing next to it and what you want to get up to. So if I planted this whole area and it grew up, we wouldn't be able to get over here to the cowpeas. And the cowpeas are going to vine all the way across, but this is a good trellis. We want to put peas on this trellis. So that's the first thing we're going to plant. For anybody that's been following this story, you just pull that mulch back to bare soil, and I'm going to do it on both sides. I'm only going to come around about 3/4. That way the cowpeas can continue to go down. We've got a grape here, and we've got winter squash here that's taken off it. So first of the 5 things we're going to plant this morning, peas. The thing about peas, they'll continue to grow even after it's frosted. Once it gets real cold, then you got to give them some protection. But with this warm weather here, they should sprout pretty quick. Like always, I'm planting these right up next to the trellis. Just lightly poke those down into the soil so they have good soil contact. I'm going to do about half on this side. You got your watering can. You can water both sides at once. Just give them a nice little drink. That soil is still good and moist, but we want to give them a good head start here. Come back with just a little light layer of mulch to help hold that in. And they'll poke right on up through there. They're pretty sturdy. Mulch on this side is just crushed up leaves. A little hay on that side. And there you go, we got peas in the ground. Since we already have a row established here and it won't get in the way of getting to the cowpeas, I'm going to plant the turnips right here. And this mulch is getting kind of thin. So in amongst the beans, I'm going to plant some cilantro. These turnip seeds kind of look like brassica seeds. They're a little round. So kind of space them out because they are going to get big. Unlike beets, I don't think turnips like to be so crowded. These are a little older seeds, so I don't know what my germination rate's going to be. So just like root stout, just pat this in. Make sure you have good soil contact. You don't want to, you're not compacting them in, you're just patting them in. Just so they have good soil contact. And there's turnips, number 2. And you might as well water the beets while we're at it. Obviously where the beans have been, this mulch is pretty thin, enough that a piece of grass won't grow. You just want to scuff up the top there We just cut these off. They sure did make nice beans though. I'm just going to scuff up the soil here. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit. We've been drying cilantro on the fence. And the way you get the cilantro seeds out, you just kind of roll it in your hand when it's dry. And then like root stout, just kind of pat it in, make sure it's got good soil contact. Give it a nice little drink to start it off. See if that bean wants to keep growing. See, the rule to this deep mulch, there is no rule. You kind of go how you feel. You kind of go with what makes sense. So if you put a light covering over damp soil, it works as a barrier to help hold that moisture. Just common sense. I have pretty good luck when I do it. That quick, we got peas, turnips, and cilantro in. I got 2 different kinds of kale I want to put in. We got an area on the other side of the garden we haven't talked about. I did find collards, but I didn't find any mustard greens. You're on your own for mustard greens. But we got Swiss chard and 2 different kinds of kale. This red Russian kale is supposed to take the cold really, really well. And then I want to try this dinosaur kale, which is supposed to be really big. So that ought to be interesting. You might be thinking, why didn't I plant the peas along this trellis? It isn't because I'm drying things. And some of that will drop into here and probably grow. That's okay. I planted peas here a couple times. We're right at the edge of the garden. And I have a buffer here because the water comes off here when it rains real hard, and we don't want to wash the garden away. It's really hard to keep the moisture right on peas. I've not had very good luck right here. On the other side of the garden, where we just planted them, I've had the best luck. So you kind of need to read your garden and what grows best where. I'm going to start with some collards up on this end. Look how nice that soil is. Because I know this is a little harder to keep moist back here, I am going to plant these just a little deeper. So there's good soil contact to there. That's our collards. I'll put in some Swiss chard. This is a multicolored variety. And it ought to add to the fall garden. And this will take it on into the winter also. We just cover these with buckets and they do just fine. Put in some dinosaur for about here. This red Russian is supposed to be the most cold hardy kale you have. And I know a lot of people don't think kale is very good, but until you've had some that's been frosted a little bit, and those sugars start coming up, I was a skeptic too, but it's one of the tastiest. And there you go. We put in peas, turnips, cilantro, collards, Swiss chard, kale. 6 things, actually 7 because we did 2, and that's on top of the radishes, carrots, spinach, beets, arugula, and lettuce that we planted. So we're caught up. I'm sure I left a few things off the September list. We're still going to plant garlic and blueberries, but garlic is bulbs and blueberries is a bush. So that doesn't really count, but it's a good time to plant them in late September. Let's go ahead and give these a little drink. Get a little mulch on them. We want to give these a really good head start. I'm not going to pull the mulch off the fence there. I want that a little deeper to try to hold some of that moisture in there. And this is just a light little layer. And now the fun begins. We get to go through and check on everything. Our radishes, I don't even think you have to do a close-up to see those. They're growing nicely. And the arugula is doing really well. But that had a little head start. We want to make sure our lettuce stays good and moist. I don't expect that to germinate for a few days. And there's a bunch of little green sprouts here in the carrots. Be very gentle when you're watering these in, because they're really tender at this stage. Nothing yet on the spinach, but I wouldn't expect there to be. I don't see anything in the beets yet either. But we just got those in the ground. And there you have it, September planting. Now all we got to do is go around day to day and check on our babies and keep them moist. You can do this too, and I do want to thank you for stopping by the garden. Helped me get 5 more things in the ground. I also cleaned up the blackberries last night. We're rooting some of these canes. I'll show you that in an upcoming episode. Remember, until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.